I am about to extend the reporting of our group, and as for what I stated, as for the extension of the reporting of our group, I am about to discuss several researches or studies that are interconnected towards our topic or towards our lesson, which is entitled as Intellectual Revolutions That Defined Society. Okay? So before formally proceeding on our discussion, allow me first to read or enunciate the titles of the catered research. Okay, so for most we have here Beyond the Hype, Intellectual Property and the Knowledge Society / Knowledge Economy. And also we have here research, The Intellectual Revolution of the 17th Century Routledge Revivals.
A pleasant morning to each and everyone. My name is Venus Jessica V. Crespo, and let me introduce to you the other members of Group 3, Mr. Clint Pregunta, Miss Camille Angela Pigaw, and Miss Lyra Lizano. But before we discuss the topic, let me discuss first the objectives. Number 1, discuss how the ideas postulated by Copernicus, Darwin, and Freud contributed to the spark of scientific revolution. Number 2, describe the development of science and technology during the scientific revolution. Number 3, explain and recognize the significance of the technology invented during the scientific revolution. Number 4, recognize and appreciate the works of the different proponents. And number 5, articulate ways by which society is transformed by science and technology. I am going to show you pictures of some well-known personalities who made significant contributions to science. And let's see if you can recognize them.
Introduction. This lesson will give light to the development of science and scientific ideas in the heart of society. For the introduction to the topic, watch the video given below.
And we're back, mga kahilas! Our vlog is all about
Intellectual revolution that defines society.
This content is all about what is science. For you, mga kahilas, what is science? And today, let's find out!
Subject, is fun.
Science came from the word ciencia.
Science is a study of Earth and other stuff.
Science is as old as the world itself. No individual that can exactly identify when and where science began. From the genesis of time, science has existed.
How can science be defined?
Science is an idea. Includes ideas, theories, and all available systematic explanations and observations about natural and physical world. Science is an intellectual activity. It encompasses a systematic and practical study of the natural and physical world. This process of study involves systematic observation and experimentation. Science as a body of knowledge means a subject or discipline, a field of study, body of knowledge that deals with the process of learning about the natural and physical world, and it refers to as school science. Science is a personal and social activity. It explains that science is both knowledge and activities done by human beings to develop better understanding of the world around them. So it's done. It's so simple, right? Now you know the definition of science. And the next will be the scientific revolution. Scientific revolution is a period of enlightenment when the developments in the fields of mathematics, physics, biology, astronomy, and chemistry transform the views of society about nature. Scientific revolution significantly improved the conduct of investigations, experiments, and observations, also led to creation of new research fields in science, and transformed the natural world and world of ideas. Wow! So that is scientific revolution. But what exactly happened during the scientific revolution? Some intellectuals and their revolutionary ideas. To further understand what exactly happened during the scientific revolution, it is important to examine the different individuals whose ideas have shaken and contested the dominant theories and ideas during this period. Scientists in all periods of time are driven by their curiosity, critical thinking, and creativity to explore the physical and natural world. Their love for science is driven by their deep passion to know and passion to discover. That leads to science ideas, science discoveries, and technology.
Nicolaus Copernicus. Nicolaus Copernicus, 1473 to 1543, was a Renaissance polymath responsible for what some have called the Copernican Revolution. He also known as the father of the modern astronomy, and one of the most important contributions of Copernicus was the field of astronomy.
So Charles Darwin, or Charles Robert Darwin, was a British naturalist and biologist known for his theory of evolution and his understanding of the process of natural selection. In 1831, he embarked on a 5-year voyage around the world on the HMS Beagle. during which time his studies of various plants and led him to formulate his theories. In 1859, he published his landmark book on the origin of species. He also believed that all of life on Earth had descended from a common ancestor whose offspring could vary slightly from the previous generation.
Charles Darwin's contribution to science, the evolutionary biology and philosophy of science.
Freud is a famous figure in the field of psychology. He also described as a towering literary figure who did his share to raise the consciousness of the civilized world in a psychological manner.
With the three Nobel scientists. And now, how is science important in our daily life?
Let's talk about how science is important in our daily life. Well, science can be seen all around us. From the moment the sun rises and the moon and stars appear. But what is the true meaning of science? Science is a systematic and logical approach to how things in the universe work. So the moment we wake up and open our eyes, science is already at work. Well, science is important because it influences most aspects of everyday life, including the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the house we stay in, the transport we use for moving around, the medicine we take when we are sick, the fire we use for cooking, what else? Electricity, different materials we use in our daily lives, and last but not least is technology. All of those wouldn't be possible if it weren't for science. Science can greatly affect us because we know that science is involved in our daily lives. Science is the reason for the quick pace of modern life. So we should learn how to use our knowledge, responsibility, and use it to protect and conserve Mother Earth.
Science is very important in our life. So, thank you for watching. I hope that you've learned something here in our vlog. Bye!
This is Nicolaus Copernicus. He is a Polish astronomer. He was known as the father of astronomy. He was the first European scientist who proposed that the Earth and the other planet is revolving around the sun. This is known as the heliocentric theory. This theory is the reason why the Ptolemaic model was being rejected, because Ptolemaic model explains that the Earth is the center of all planets. But Nicolaus Copernicus proved that the Earth is not the middle of all planets. He proved that the Sun is the middle of all planets. How this theory impact the world? It changed the people's perception of their place in the universe. But this theory took more than a century to become widely accepted.
Charles Robert Darwin. Alam ko hindi na bago sa atin yan, no? Kapag usapang science ay naririnig na natin si Charles Robert Darwin. Gaano mo na ba kakilala si Charles Robert Darwin? Ngayon ay ipapakilala ko sa inyo si Charles Robert Darwin at ang kanyang mahalagang contributions in science. Charles Robert Darwin was an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist, best known for his contributions of evolutionary biology. His proposition that all species of life have descended from common ancestors is now widely accepted and considered a fundamental concept in science. On the origin of species, or more completely on the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Nailatala po ito noong November 24, 1859. Ito ay isang akda ng siyentipikong panitikan ni Charles Darwin na itinuturing na foundation of evolutionary biology. Ipinakilala ng aklat ni Darwin ang scientific theory na ang mga population ay nagbabago sa paglipas ng mga henerasyon through a process of natural selection. Ang libro na ito ay nagpapakita ng isang body of evidence that the diversity of life arose by common descent through a branching of pattern of evolution. Ang teorya ni Darwin ay batay sa paniniwala ng pagkakaiba-iba. Ipinapaliwanag nito na ang maraming mga katangian at adaptasyon that differentiate species from each other ay nagpapaliwanag din kung paano umunlad ang mga species sa paglipas ng panahon at unti-unti ring naghiwalay. Ang mga pagkakaiba sa mga organismo ay apparent both within domesticated species and within species throughout the natural world. Ang mga pagkakaiba-iba sa mga kulay, estruktura, organo at physical na katangian ay differentiate a multitude of species from one another. Ang heredity ay ang mekanismo na nagpapanatili ng mga pagkakaiba-iba at ayon nga kay Darwin, dahil ang mga katangian ay ipinasa mula sa mga magulang hanggang sa mga supling. Gayunpaman, ang mahalaga sa mga pagkakaiba-iba na ito ay ayon kay Darwin is the way they allow species to adapt and survive in the natural world. Nagbibigay siya ng maraming mga halimbawa ng pagkakaiba-iba na naglalarawan ng mga kamangha-manghang adaptations that allow species to survive in their natural environments. The break that allows the woodpecker to gather insects, the wings that allow the bat to fly, the battles that allow the porpoise to swim, and so on. Darwin hypothesizes na ang mga maliliit na variation na nakikita natin sa loob ng isang species, gaya ng mga variation sa laki, hugis at kulay ng mga organismo ay nauugnay sa mas natatanging variation na nakikita sa iba't ibang mga species. Ang kanyang teorya ng evolusyon ay nagpapaliwanag how variations cause the origin of species.
So, dumako naman po tayo kay Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is a famous figure in psychology who also made a significant contribution to the scientific world through the development of an important observational method to gather reliable data to study humans' inner life. This method is popularly known as psychoanalysis. So, here's a short biography about Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud lived most of his years in Vienna, although Freiburg, a town in Austria, was his birthplace. When his family relocated to Vienna, Freud was only 4 years of age. It was in this city in Austria where he received a degree in the field of medicine, which was in 1881. A year after, he married and decided to practice his profession for a living. His main focus was on treating patients who suffered from psychological disorders, and this started his journey and preoccupation on studying human experience and instincts. He also worked with other scientists and scholars throughout his life, although he eventually formulated his own theories and developed a method for the treatment of psychological conditions among individuals. The scientific hypothesis he formulated formed the essential, fundamental version of this method. For Freud, this method of psychoanalysis is a scientific way to study the human mind and neurotic illness. It is no doubt that amidst all questions on his works that led to some sort of academic controversy, his method of psychoanalysis had great impact on the scientific way of understanding human nature. Psychoanalysis is defined as a set of psychological theories and therapeutic methods which have their origin in the work and theories of Sigmund Freud. The primary assumption of psychoanalysis is the belief of all possessed unconscious thoughts, feelings, desires, and memories. The aim of psychoanalysis therapy is to release repressed emotions and experiences, make the unconscious conscious. It is only having a cathartic, healing experience can the person be helped and cured.
Okay, then, so let us now proceed on the discussion of our first study that is interconnected towards our topic intellectual revolutions that define society. We have here the research entitled Beyond the Hype, Intellectual Property and the Knowledge Society or Knowledge Economy. So the author of this research are Kenneth Carlo, Les Oxley, Paul Walker, David Thorns, and of course, Mikhail Noth. So it was first published in the year of 2006 in the month of August and the day of 30. So let us first, of course, read what the presentation stated. This paper explores the debates surrounding whether or not we have now moved into a new knowledge economy and or knowledge society, and if so, whether this shift is as significant and as far-reaching as the Industrial Revolution. As per we talk about intellectual revolutions that define society, the said research is very much interrelated and interconnected to our topic, as this research is about the intellectual knowledge and how did it spread as time passes by, which even makes the communication even more crucial. Debate has occurred across both economics and sociology, with differing emphases as is shown in the ranges of definitions that we review in the paper. One consistent factor is the lack of clarity and consistency between them, both within and across the disciplines. The role of innovation via human capital with a greater reliance on intellectual capabilities has been emphasized. Then again, basically, this paper explores the debates surrounding whether or not we have now moved into a new knowledge economy and or knowledge society, and if so, whether this shift is as significant as far as reaching the Industrial Revolution. In this possible transformation, the place of information communications technologies has been indisputably crucial. Okay? So as per what I stated, debate has occurred across both economics and sociology, with differing emphasis as is shown in the ranges of definition that we review in the paper. Okay? One consistent factor is the lack of clarity and consistency between them both within and across the disciplines. In order to explore the issues that the debate raises, in a more grounded way, the paper or the said study explores them in relation to intellectual property, or also known as IP, and the intellectual commons in the process of innovation, growth, and economic development. So this study or this paper is developed through an analysis first of the Industrial Revolution and the role within this of uncertainty, technologies, complementarities, and elective affinities in the way IP was protected and controlled through patents, secrecy, being first to the market, and copyright. Alongside it, the second part of the paper examines definitions of the knowledge, economy, and society and their role within this information communication technologies in order, of course, to explore whether the ways that IP is protected and controlled have changed. So in the debate about the knowledge economy in society, the role of innovation via human capital with a greater reliance on intellectual capabilities has been indisputably emphasized. Okay? The role of IP thus remains central but is now challenged by the rise of new forms of communication, which make its protection harder and move much of the concern with respect to regulation to a global rather than national and local level. Okay, so intellectual history and early modern history have always occupied an important place in past and present and of course even in future. This book or this study is published in the year 1974. This volume is a collection of original articles, studies, debates published in the journal between 1953 and May 1973. Dealing with many aspects of the intellectual history of the 17th century, several of the contributions have been extremely influential, and the debates represent major standpoints and controversies over genesis of modern ideas. So, although England is the focus of the attention for most of the contributors, their themes have wider significance as such other countries' intelligence and its innovation. Among the topics covered in the collection are the political thought of the Levelers and of James Harrington, radical social movements of the Puritan Revolution, the ideological context of psychological theories associated with William Harvey, the relationship between science and religion and the social relations of science, and the function of millenarism and eschatology in the 17th century. The editor's introduction indicates the context in which the articles were composed and provides valuable bibliographical information about the subject topic discussed.